It's your boy, it's Carter TV, and this next set of stories, I'm basically blogging a story that I was writing down. It's called Secrets in the Streets. I was basically supposed to film it, but due to the fact that COVID happened, I couldn't get a film crew and I couldn't get a cast crew, whatever the situation was. I decided I'm going to blog it. It seemed better when I blog it anyway. So I'm started off. This is chapter 1, Betrayal. And this is where we go. King and Boss, two head honchos in these streets. They run the streets of Brooklyn. You know, that Brooklyn borough. They in these streets. They've been in the streets since they was teenagers. And, you know, they did a lot of dirt in these streets. And as they come up, right? We kicked the story off with King sitting in a room with 4 other people. Tony, who is also a part of, you know, the little clique between him and Boss. And, you know, she's a shooter. She gets to a bag. You know, she's one of those type of females that, you know, if the guys can't get the person they want to get, they send her in. She's also known as the Black Widow. You feel me? She's very sexy. She's a brown skin type thing, long hair, nice sized tits. She thick at the bottom. I'm gonna tell you that. She thick at the bottom. You feel me? She's real nice. She's like a beautiful woman you wouldn't expect to pull a trigger. That's how she is. Like, picture a beautiful woman, but also she's a killer in the same sentence. You feel me? Boss is also, he's a monster. He don't give a fuck. He'll kill your family. He'll kill your mother. He'll kill your kids. He'll kill your damn dog. He'll kill your bird if he have to. He's a savage. You feel me? King is more the, let's talk this shit out first before I kill you. Because if we don't talk it out, I'm going to shoot you type of dude. So, you know, he's more the smooth talker. You know, he's more the, let's settle over business. Or, you know, he's more the, I'll take your business from you and watch you dry out type of dude. You know what I mean? Over the years, King has calmed down with doing all his killing. He just tried to talk it out. But if he have to kill you, he will. So basically, it's them 3, right? King is in this room. He was brought to this room with Tony to meet these people. These people are called the organization. The organization consists of 4 people, which is supposed to be 5. They're looking for their 5th member. That's why they're having the meeting with King. The organization has different nationalities. You got Mr. Rico, who's Hispanic. You got Mr. Jim, who's an Asian guy. You got Mr. Bleak, who's a white guy. And you got Mrs. Indigo, who's she's more the Indian side of the lady, Pakistani. You know, she's in that column. Each member has their own borough of New York City. Has their own borough they control. Mr. Bleak has Manhattan. Mr. Rico has the Bronx. Mrs. Indigo has Staten Island. And Mr. Jim, he has Queens. Now, with them having their own borough, they will complete their group if they can get King to be a part of their group. Before, you know, they try to make him offers and everything. And, you know, they tell him basically, we like how you move in these streets. We know you're a businessman firsthand. You know, they gave him the intro. King automatically tells them, like, you know, I appreciate you guys bringing me to y'all, you know, inviting me to y'all group or whatever, but I'm getting out the game. He's getting out the game. He's, you know, calling it quits. He's, you know, he's thinking about his family. Now, at this time, this is around the time his son Charlie is just about to graduate high school. He's about to graduate high school. You know, he's about to go on to college. So it'd be a perfect time for him and his wife, maybe, you know, go on a few trips together, maybe start over, maybe have another child. That's if they wanted to do that, right? That's basically what that is. So, he's basically like, I'm getting out the game. Bada, 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 bada. So, with that being said, that kind of throws the group off, and the group are like shocked when he said that. It was like, he's getting out the game. Tony, who's also behind him, is shocked by the news herself, right? With that being said, she's shocked by the news. And Mrs. Indigo, who's the only woman of the group, decides to pull the folder card. She pulls the folder card with his wife's information in it, which has her real name. His wife, alias name is Kim Benson, because she got married to the King. Her real name was Ashley Jones, and she's a federal agent who's been undercover for the past 3 years. She's been undercover as a nurse. And around the time she's been undercover, she's also been married around the same time. You feel me? She's also been married. Crazy, right? I know. The organization got wind of her information being undercover and all the spots that's been going down. It's been her doing. It's been her doing. So with that being said, they thought maybe if we could bring King into the, organization, he can help with business, and he also can get rid of the wife on his own free will without us giving the go. That don't go as planned. Because one, King is shocked at this information, and King is not going to kill his wife. He loves her too much. They also have a child together. So the organization gave him an ultimatum. They gave him an ultimatum. It's like, you could join us, and you can handle your wife, or we can handle our wife. I mean, we can handle your wife for you. That's basically how that conversation went. Because with this information that she has on us, they could put us all away for good. And with that, they also say that, she also don't have no information on you, which leaves that you knew about her. So that puts a trigger in Tony's head, like, oh shit, your wife is a snitch now. So now that information is brewing, right? She quick after the meeting is done, is adjourned. King is not going to do it. He's this and that, and he's not happy what he's hearing, so he leaves. He leaves the room. Mrs. Indigo goes talk to Tony right before she leaves, and she was like, "Yo, you brought this man to us. Come to find out, his wife is out here her dirt on all of us, including you and that man called Boss, which is his best friend." She's like, "I'm just now hearing about this myself. This is news to me." And she basically like, Tony puts it out there. She was like, "Y'all got all these men up here. Y'all got these 3 men. Why don't you have another woman on the table?" Miss Indigo was like, "I tried to, but they all outvoted me to have another woman." So basically, Tony got wind of that. She was like, maybe we should do business ourselves on the side. Them two develop a relationship. Now, how those two met was they met a good 3 days before the meeting. Tony and Mrs. Indigo met 3 days before the meeting, right? Tony was in the bar having a drink to herself, getting her mind right. Mrs. Indigo come in, she sits next to her, says something to her, they spark a conversation. Mrs. Indigo basically knew who Tony was off the rip because of how she moved in these streets. Basically, they have a few drinks together, they end up sleeping together. They end up having sex. The 2 women have their little, sexual contact, whatever. It was probably a night to remember because they was getting it in. You know what I mean? Use your imagination if you know what I mean. 2 women, leggy. But anyway, Mrs. Indigo gets Tony to bring King. That's how King gets to the meeting. And basically Tony thought it was like going to be a big opportunity for all 3 of them. Kind of find out, she's just finding out a whole bunch of shit that she didn't need to know because now she's on the verge. Now, Tony doesn't like Kim because Tony and King used to have a relationship, basically back in the day. They used to have a little flame or whatever, he would sleep with her here and there. And Tony gravitated towards King. Like, she wanted him, she wanted to marry him, whatever the situation was, she wanted to be with King forever. King didn't want to be with her because Tony didn't want to get out the streets. King wanted a wife at home. He wanted, he wanted a housewife. He didn't want a woman in the streets all the time. You was in the streets, all right, it's time for you to get out the streets. Tony didn't want to do that, so he ended up leaving Tony alone and ended up marrying Kim, and him and Kim ended up having relations. Now, basically, he was messing with Tony while he was dating Kim. So basically, he was back and forth between the 2 women, which when time came, Tony didn't want to get out the streets. He leaned towards more Kim. They had a child, bang, bada, boom. Tony ended up going to, mess with Boss, his best friend. They end up having a relationship around the same time. Now, both of these women get pregnant around the same time. They both have 2 boys. They're both about 2 months apart from each other. I'm not going to say who's older, who's not. Their son, one is Charlie, one is KJ. You know, they grow up together, they get close. That's them. You know what I'm saying? So, boom. That's a little backstory on them. Moving forward, King, Boss, and Tony meet up for a meeting. Basically, Tony got to Boss first. She basically filled him in, was just like, yo, his wife is a fed. She got paperwork on all of us. This and that and the third, this and that and the third. The reason why they're meeting up, because at the time, Boss was out of town. Boss was out of town handling other business. You know what I'm saying? He was handling other businesses. And he gets back and he has this news. So when King arrives to the meeting, he's just like, yo, what the fuck is going on? Why am I here? Your wife is a rat. This and that and the third. She about to get everybody indicted. You met with the organization. Why didn't you tell me? Like, he's basically mad because, you know, his man's is not keeping it 100 with him with this one situation. And this is important because you in the streets, right? So King was just like, yo, bro, chill, relax. I'm going to explain. Hold on. He like, how can you explain your wife as a rat? How can you explain your wife as a rat? Da, 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 da. He was like, that shit is bullshit. They just saying anything to break this down. I told them I wasn't going to be with the group. They mad because I don't want to be a part of their group. So they just throwing out bullshit. Tony steps in and just like, yo, that don't look like bullshit. I seen the paperwork. A lot of our names is in there except yours. You need to get to the bottom of it. And, you know, basically, they want King to handle the situation before they got to handle it. You know what I'm saying? If they got to handle it, it's not going to be pretty for King. You know what I'm saying? So they're giving him the chance to handle it. Especially because they're friends, they're close friends, you know what I'm saying? They all got relations with each other. You know what I'm saying? They're giving him a chance. They respect him enough to give him a chance to handle the situation before it get deadly. King is in denial because he don't want to believe that his wife is a rat or a fed or whatever the situation is. He don't want to believe it. So another thing is that they had an argument about is the fact that King is getting out the game. You know, these guys are much older now. They're in their 30s, going almost into their 40s. King decides he's ready to get out before he goes to jail or end up dead. He's making business moves, you know what I mean? He put all his money into businesses so that way when it's time for him to get out, he's established. You know what I'm saying? You know, I feel like any street nigga would do that. Like, establish himself to business. Don't just worry about the bitches in the cars and shit like that. So, with that being said, Boss is not really feeling that the fact that he wants to get out either. Like, you know, he thought he was going to ride with him to the end, to the wheels fall off. King is basically like, no, bro, like, I got a family. You know what I mean? I got to do right with my mom. My son is about to go to school soon, basically. My wife want to get away. Da, 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 da. Maybe we could shoot for a little girl now. You know what I'm saying? We got to have a big family now. Now, around this time, this is all going down. The wife decide to say, let's go on vacation. I'm gonna take leave an absence from work because she know what's about to go down. King is in denial about what's going down because he don't want to believe it. Now, around this time she's telling him this, the feds is moving in. You know, one more piece of the evidence and then everybody's going down. So she basically tells her husband like, yo, we should take a vacation. Basically, she's covering up for him and making sure when this shit go down, he's out. That's why the vacation is happening. That's why they're sending off her son, Charlie, to school. You feel me? This is why all this is going down. But King doesn't know this. She had this plan already in motion. So, after the falling out, Boss was like, basically, like, bro, handle this or we gonna handle it. And they didn't speak after that for a few days, which lets Boss know that he didn't handle it because his wife is still breathing. It's not in the news that this happened or nothing. So Boss decides to go his own way. He didn't speak to King for a few days. King ends up getting back up with his wife and like, you know what's going on? So he basically approaches the situation. He's like, yo, babe, what's going on? Why am I finding out about you and your alias name, Ashley Jenkins, whatever the situation is, right? So she's like, oh, that's BS, that's bullshit. She brushes it off. She completely brushes it off. And then he's like, you sure? Like, da-da-da-da-da-da-da. And she's like, nah, babe, like, I'm a nurse. I'm a nurse. Like, come on, like, I've been your nurse since you knew me. Since she's like, you know, I've been a nurse since you knew me or whatever the situation is. And, you know, he kind of like, all right, whatever. Brushed it off. Now we're going to jump into Charlie, which is King and Kim, actually, you know, the Fed, their son. He's at the park with his boys, right? He's at the park with his boys. Tim and Jake, which is his school buddies. Those are his school boys. So they're at the park. They're playing ball with a bunch of other dudes. They're playing ball. KJ, who's also one of his good friends. His good friends. He pulls up to the park with his boys. Now KJ grew up different from Charlie because of his dad, Boss. Boss wanted him in the streets. Boss saw him how to pull the trigger. Basically, Boss saw him how to be a street nigga. You know, he didn't finish school. He dropped out during middle school and went to the street life. His group consists of Buck, JT, Rock, and it's supposed to be a fourth member, but she's not in yet. But it's gonna be another group member. So it's just them four right now, right? Jake wants to be a street nigga, but he low-key is like pushing it off. So I say that because you're gonna understand soon. So they're at the park playing ball. KJ and his boys pull up. Now around this time they pull up, this is around the same time the two dads are beefing. You know, King and Boss are beefing. You know, it's a lot of shit going on in these streets. Right? It's a lot of shit going on in these streets. A lot of people are picking sides. You know what I'm saying? With people picking sides, not knowing why they're picking sides, nobody knows what's going on. So it's just a big ass beef going on. You got King versus Boss in these streets. You got people shooting at each other who was once allies. It's hectic right now. So Boss ends up telling KJ, like, you know, your boy Charlie, you gonna have to cut ties with him. KJ don't know why he gotta cut ties. But he's like, yo, you gotta cut ties with your boy. He don't tell him why though. Like, see him, it is what it is. And KJ knew what that meant. So KJ finally gets to the bottom of why he has to cut ties, you know, because his dad and his dad is, you know, both of the dads is beefing and whatever. KJ don't want to cut ties with his boy. He don't want to do that. That's his man's. You know, they grew up together in a sandbox type situation. So he's like he's a little in between doing shit. You know, he could easily kill him if he wanted to, you know. So he toys with it a little bit. He kind of trying to find the joy out of it. You know, he kind of let his boys do the work. And basically, he don't want to kill his friend. You know, that's like King and Boss. They don't want to kill each other. But, you know, one of them got to be the mature one, which neither one of them is doing. So we get back to the park scene where they're playing ball. They're at the park. Now, the ball rolls into KJ's direction. Buck, who's one of KJ's boys, he picks it up. Come get the ball. Jake goes get the ball. And, you know, Buck is basically not trying to give him the ball. He's basically, oh, you want the ball, come get it. He's passing it back and forth to his other bro. So a fight break out between Buck and Jake. Now, this is where shit is fucked up. The fight is a little scuffle. It's not much of a fight. It's a scuffle where the two are just tussling with each other. Charlie like, yo, what the fuck, bro? Get your mans off my bro. We playing ball here. What you doing this for? Da-da-da-da. Dale pulls up to the park. Right? He pulls up to the park and doing all this is going on. Dale, Charlie, and KJ are close, very close friends. They grew up in a sandbox. You know what I mean? They met Dale when they was about 10 years old at the park, and they became friends. I'm going to do a backstory on that in the next chapter. So Dale pulls up to the park. He kind of like gets them to break up. He shoots a gun in his air. Boom. Everybody looks. They're like, yo, break this shit up. KJ like, yo, let him up. The point of them fighting was to deliver a message to Jake. KJ found out that Jake wants to be a part of the group. Now, mind you, Jake is a schoolboy who always thought the niggas in the streets was lames. You know, he thought like, oh, they ain't gonna be nothing. But he low-key wanted that lifestyle. Tim, he's more of a nerd. He's more of a, I'm gonna get married. I'm gonna have sex when I'm married type of guy. You know what I'm saying? So, those are his schoolboys, you know, Tim and Jake. So basically the scuffle was to deliver a message to Jake. Right? He delivered a message. He told him what he wanted to tell him, and the mix of them scuffling. KJ and his boys leave after the message is delivered. So Dale's basically talking to Charlie. He's like, yo, what was that about? He's like, I don't even know what the fuck is going on. Charlie is clueless because he don't know what's going on. He like surprised at KJ's behavior. So him and Dale are talking. Dale basically tells Charlie, he's like, yo, watch out in these streets. Everybody is moving sus. He's like, what you talking about? Charlie's not really in the streets. You feel me? Charlie is not really in the streets. His dad kept him into his books. But his dad also made sure he knew what the street life come with. You know, he also told him about the street life. He also kept him in tune with it. So, you know, push come to shove, if he was ever caught in the mix of some shit, he already know what to do. His dad kept him in tune. His dad kept him alert. You know, his dad made sure he separate the street life from school. You know what I'm saying? KJ's dad didn't do that. KJ's dad kept him straight in books. Kept him straight in the streets. So, Dale basically was just like, yo, watch out. Everybody moving sus. You know, it's a war going on between, you know, Boss and King out here. And Charlie didn't know none of this. You feel me? Charlie ain't know this was going on. You know, certain shit his dad just didn't tell him about. So, he's like, what? Nah, they cool. Like, he's like, nah, bro, it's a lot of shit going on and people are picking sides now. So, if KJ acting like this, it's probably because you already know who he lied with, his dad. You feel me? And basically Dale tell him, like, you my man's 100 grand. I won't go against you. You feel me? We've been together through sandboxes and shit. Your moms took me in and, you know, put food in my stomach when I didn't have it. I won't betray you. You know what I'm saying? Just know, like, be careful out here. You feel me? And, you know, make sure your dad is alert because shit is getting hectic. Basically, he was giving Charlie a warning of what's going on. A lot of people who was on King's side was falling off onto Boss' side because the war was just raging on. There was a war going on for like a past week with these two due to the falling out they had. With that being said, right, Charlie was just like, wow, this shit's going on like that. That's fucked up. So he had to talk to his dad and see what was going on, right? So with the little war going on, Tony developed a plan to get King out the way. She would get King out the way, and then she would also get Boss out the way. So Tony had this big-ass plan she was brewing. She wanted to be a part of the organization. That was Tony's goal right now. Be a part of the organization. You could take over each borough. She could maneuver better. She could have connections into other states and shit like that. So she developed this big-ass plan. And the first step of her plan was to get rid of King and to get rid of his wife as well, right? That was her big ass plan. But she was going to have to use her assets, which is Boss. She know that she couldn't get the King directly because King moved different. When it comes to him having beef, he was always on point. He was always ahead of the game. You know, he was on his P's and Q's when it came to the beef shit. He was on it. You feel me? So, that being said, right? She had to think of a plan. Now, with King getting out the game, he was making stops to, you know, people he needed to see, like, yo, basically tell him what's going on. And the streets was basically telling him, like, yo, it's a war out here. And you basically picked the wrong time to leave because niggas is picking sides. You know, a lot of niggas who was riding for King stayed with King no matter what. Because he looked out for them. You feel me? He looked out for motherfuckers. So, motherfuckers who he looked out for still was switching sides. A lot of betray was going on. A lot of niggas was getting backdoored. And, you know, a lot of people was taking over spots. You know, a lot of these little niggas was coming up in the game because of Boss, the way Boss was moving in the streets. So now it comes to the point where King had to meet up with the Connect. And the Connect, and him and the Connect had a good relationship. And, you know, the relationship was, you know, it was a good relationship to the point where, you know, the plug was only willing to work with him. And being that the plug heard this information of him getting out, it was just like, who was he going to work with now? And how was he going to do his business? Because a lot of his businesses was going through King. King was basically flooding the whole Brooklyn with the plug shit. Basically, he was flooding it. And the plug wasn't really feeling Boss. Like, when King would come see him and Boss would come, he wasn't feeling his energy, you know what I'm saying? He was very disrespectful. He didn't want to do business with the dude. So when King had the meeting with the plug, right, He basically told him, and the plug basically understood. The plug was getting old. He was getting old. He was an older dude. He was getting old. You know, he was getting to the point where he was missing certain things. He was missing numbers. And it was time for him, you know, to actually come out the game as well, which he was going to plan on doing soon. But he didn't think it would happen this soon. So with that being said, the plug was going to turn the game over to his younger nephew. He didn't want to turn it over to his older nephew because his older nephew moved just like Boss. He was sloppy. He didn't want to learn shit. So when the older nephew heard the conversation between him and King, he came up with an idea of trying to get in. He was just basically like, oh, why the fuck you doing business with them anyway? You know, he's a slime, da-da-da-da-da, and you should do business with his partner. And the plug was just like, the uncle was just like, I'm not with it. Like, he does business wrong. And this is why you're not going to get the business at the end, right? So, Boss decided to come see the plug. The boss decided to come see the plug around the same time. Right after King left, Boss rolled up. He rolled up with his peoples and he rolled up with Tony. He was telling him basically, you know, King getting out, his wife is a fed, da-da-da-da. And the plug didn't know that the wife was a fed. And basically, Boss showed him paperwork saying that his name was in paperwork too. So the plug was like, nah, this is bullshit. You just saying anything to get in my good graces. Get the fuck out of here. Get the fuck out of here. He basically brushed him off. He's like, I'm warning you. You better off doing business with me. We're going to take King out of here. We're going to make shit right. So the plug was basically not feeling it, right? So the plug was basically like, get the fuck out of here. So the plug called King back and was just like, yo, we need to talk ASAP. Come back. Before he could actually get him to come back, right? Boss is on his way leaving. He's like, yo, I tried to tell him. The nephew name is Claruso. Claruso, right? The younger nephew name is Mink. Mink. They're the German family that came to the U.S. They could, you know, get to work in, whatever. Claruso was like, nah, man. Don't leave, boss. Come back. He was like, your uncle don't want to do business. What else can I do? He was like, don't even worry about my uncle. I'm going to be taking over the business soon. Tony looked at Boss like, what? Nah, you're not going to take over the business. Nah, it's all right. We'll find another plug. He's like, basically, Caruso was like, who going to find it better than us? We can get it, and we can get it in the U.S. He's like, how you going to get it in the U.S. when your uncle not even handing you over the business? He's like, I got this. Come back. So he basically get Boss to come back to the uncle's room, and the uncle was just like, yo, what is this? Why is he back? I told him to get his ass the fuck out of here. You want me to kill this man? So guns are being drawn now. So the uncle was like, tell him to fucking leave. I told him to get the fuck out. What the fuck is you doing? The nephew backs out and shoots his uncle right in front of Boss and Tony. Boop, 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 boop. Right? The younger nephew sees this and he records it. He puts it on camera. He records it. He like, no, uncle, I'm taking over this now. He shoots his uncle. Boop, boop, boop. The guys who had the guns drawn didn't know what to do. He like, you motherfuckers work for me now. So the guys was just like, all right. Like, they didn't know what to do. They like, fuck it. Then, that was a way of showing Boss your loyalty. You got it. You know, you got my loyalty. So Boss was like, all right. Well, damn. That was easy. Right? So basically he gets Boss's approval. He gets the work to come in. He makes the change arrangements. So now Boss has his plug. He has a new plug. He has somebody that understands him and how he moves. So Tony didn't think it would go down just that fast. What the important detail about that was the older brother didn't know how to chef it up. He only knew how to get it in. He didn't know how to mount it down and all that. The younger nephew knew the steps by steps. Right? So, word get back to the brother, you know, the uncle. The uncle's dead. So the brother, who's across seas, he finds out his brother dies. And basically, what had happened now is Claruso decides to tell the uncle, he tells his dad that, like, yo, dad, they you know, these fucking black people, they killed Mox, they killed your brother. He basically lies and says King did it, the plug, basically. He tells his dad that King did it, and everything. So now King got a target on his back. So, boom, that happens, right? All this shit is going down. All this shit is going down. Boss has a detective in his pocket, Detective Peterson. Detective Peterson has been in Boss's pocket for as long as you could, as long as, Boss has been in the streets. He's been in his pockets. He also has been set in motion to put shit out there. Now, this final step, and I'm ending this chapter very soon. The final move was, they was laying people down and they was lining up King to go down for it, right? The night that shit go down, Charlie is going to a party. I think this is like the party before the summer kickoff. It's like a graduation party. A lot of people are graduating. Charlie had just recently got out. Well, just recently lost his girlfriend. His girlfriend, whose name is Star, hood booker type girl, scammer. She broke up with him and left him high and dry. Also, she was also sleeping around with KJ, low key. She didn't really gravitate towards Charlie like that because he wasn't in the streets. KJ was more in the street life. She was sleeping around and broke up with him, and she was going to be at this party. You feel me? So, before the party happens, Charlie decides to talk to his dad about what's going on in these streets, and which his dad basically was trying to like brushing it off, like, don't worry about it, da-da-da-da-da, da-da-da-da. So they have an argument about it. Charlie leaves the crib. A lot of shit is going on. The night of the party, right? The party happens. Everything is going smooth. Charlie sees his ex. He's like, oh shit, she's here. So, fuck, his mood kind of changed because, she broke up with him and shit. She left him for another dude, which Charlie didn't know who the dude was. Charlie didn't know who the new dude was. But she left him for a new dude. He also heard her talk to the dude numerous of times on the phone, like right in front of him, like out of disrespect. She basically was disrespecting him all over. So that kind of got him heated. At this party, there's a girl named Victoria, Mo, and Destiny. They pull up. Victoria has a big crush on Charlie. She has a big crush on him. She had a crush on him since middle school. She liked him since then, and da-da-da-da. She sees him there, they have a conversation. That kind of puts Star, Charlie's ex, in a predicament. She's like, she didn't want nobody to have him, but she don't want him herself. She was one of those girlfriends like, I don't want nobody to have you. Like, I don't care what the situation is, and da-da-da-da. So when she sees him talking to Victoria, she kind of interrupts us like, hey, Charlie, you want to take me home? Or you want to dance? And he was just kind of like, no, like, get out my way. Like, nah, I'm good. Like, and Victoria was like, yo, that's rude. Like, Charlie was like, yo, why you stepping in front of her like that? Move. Like, she was like, you don't love me no more. You don't love me no more. She was basically trying to get him into his feelings. That's when Destiny and Mo walked up and was like, yo, good over here with Victoria? Good? And then a whole argument between the girls started breaking out. A fight break out with the girls. Star homegirls, Aaliyah and Zoe step in, and, a little brawl break out between the 6 girls. Right? A fight break out. I'm like, oh, shit, it's going down. Right? So Charlie steps back and was just like, oh, they about to fight. He kind of tries to break it up. His boys tried to break it up. The party basically starts to go down because of the fight. KJ and his boys arrive at the party. They arrive at the party. Everybody basically goes outside. It's a crowd outside. Charlie's upstairs. He's stuck on Victoria like, yo, you good? Or whatever, you good? She was like, yeah, I'm cool, because of the fight. Tim and Jake are outside. Jake is talking to KJ and his boys. So Tim kind of sees that and was like, what the fuck is that? He's like looking and seeing that that's going on, right? One of Jake's boys hand him something. They hand him something, right? They hand him a gun. Mind you, a lot of the killing is going on. The plug died the night previous. The plug died Now, somebody else is gonna die tonight. Star walked over to the group where, you know, where Jake was, right? She looked at Jake and was like, ain't you Charlie's boy? Like, what are you doing over here? KJ, like, nothing, mind your business. She was like, basically nothing, mind. He was like, nah, mind your business, mind your business. What you want? She was like, KJ, you know, I thought I was going to come chill with you. We handling grown folks. And she's like, all right, like, damn, like. So, the only reason why she came over there was she was like, yo, one of my friends want to be down with your group. Now, the one of her friends that want to be down with her group, her name is Storm. Storm is a dyke girl. She want to get money. She want to be a part of the team. And she heard KJ was getting to a bag and she wanted to be a part of the team. So he like, who your friend? Who your friend? She's like, my friend Storm. So his boys, JT, Rock, and Bunk like, a girl? The fuck? So she basically was like, she was like, yeah, I'm a girl and I'll knock niggas the fuck out. So they like, whoa, all right. So KJ like her little spark. He like, I like that. You a tough one. I like that. You wanna be a part of the team? Want to be a part of the team? You gotta put in work. Show me you can handle it, and you down. So she was like, what I gotta do? So that whole conversation went down, right? Jake leaves. Jake comes over to Tim was, and then Charlie's coming down and meet up with the two dudes. So Tim was like, yo, why you was over there with them niggas? He's like, oh, nothing. They was just asking me a question. They was asking me a question. He's like, I could have sworn I saw him hand you something. Charlie like, what he hand you? He like, nothing, bro. He ain't hand me nothing. He ain't hand me nothing. Tim like, yo, bro, I saw him hand you something. He's like, yo, leave it alone, Tim. Leave it alone, Tim. I'm good. Like, so it kind of brushed them on. So they get ready to leave, right? They leave. Jake was the driver. Jake was the driver, whatever. So Jake was dropping everybody off home. Jake was dropping everybody off home. So with him dropping everybody off home, he only dropped them off at a certain point. He dropped them off and it was like, yo, I can't really take y'all all the way home. I gotta rush home. My mom's on some bullshit. I gotta bring the car back. Remember, they teenagers. They're about to graduate high school, whatever. So I gotta bring the car back, plus it's late. So y'all don't mind walking halfway home. Tim and Charlie kind of live close, so it was easy for them to walk home together. So Tim and Jake was like, all right, cool, all right, whatever. And Tim was like, yo, bro, I think you should have had the car tonight. He's like, nah, me and my dad bump heads, bro. This is why they walking home together. And then basically Tim was like, yo, I could have sworn I saw I saw your boy, what's this little nigga name? JK hand him something. KJ hand him something. I could have sworn I saw him hand him something, right? He's like, you sure? You sure? I'm like, yeah, right? So, with that being said, right, the boys are on their way home. Both of them are on their way home. They going back down this little alleyway to go to the crib. Two cars pull up. They hear the car behind them. They turn around. Two niggas jump out and start shooting. Boom, 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 boom. Start shooting at them. They start getting missing. They start running. Oh, shit. They getting shot at now. Right? They getting shot at now. Another car cuts them off and jumps in front of them. Right? The driver aims his gun straight at them. They both split up. Boom. Now the driver didn't know who to shoot. No, not the driver. Now the passenger didn't know who to shoot. My bad, y'all. My bad. The passenger didn't know which one to shoot. They masked up. Everybody is masked up. Right? Everybody is masked up. So, the driver like, yo, why the fuck you ain't shoot? Why the fuck you ain't shoot? Get the fuck out, go get him. Get the fuck out, go get him. So he like, fuck. So he goes after Charlie. He goes after Charlie. He runs in his direction. He running. Charlie Charlie dips on him and gets missing. Charlie is an athlete. He was on the football team. He's on the basketball team. He's an athlete. So he know how to move. He know how to move. Plus he's fast. He gets missing. Boop. He dips. And he loses him. So he like, what the fuck? The driver like, where the fuck he go? Where the fuck he go? He loses him. He also sees Tim running. They see Tim running on another block. They like, oh shit, they go the other one right there. They go after Tim and cut him off, right? They cut him off. The other two shooters, they ran where Charlie was, but Charlie was hiding. They like, yo, where the fuck he go? Where the fuck he go? Charlie recognizes the voices. Where the fuck he go? Where the fuck he go? He then goes, that nigga Jake better get his ass. He like, what the fuck? So Tim is running, and then the two shooters, they hear shots go off. They hear shots go off, right? Tim is still running. Tim is still running. Tim get cuts off. Who he runs into? Jake. Jake is standing there. He reveals his face. Storm, who was also his driver, was with him. I was like, yo, what the fuck you doing? Why you showing your face? Tim was like, yo, what the fuck? He's shocked, and he's kind of relieved that he sees Jake. He sees Jake, and was like, yo, Jake, can you give me a ride home? Jake, can you give me a ride home? Niggas are shooting at me, bro. Jake backs out and shoots Tim right in his chest 3 times. Boop, 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 boop. Shoots him in his chest 3 times. Charlie is running in that direction. He sees Tim, but by the time he gets to him, his body's already on the floor. Tim dies right there. Boom. Tim dies right there. All 4 of them leave. Jake kills his boy. He was supposed to have killed Charlie, but he found Tim. Killed Tim right then and there. This is weeks before graduation, y'all. Following that, the next morning, King finds out, you know, a little boy died, and he was like, yo, you know, I'm sorry about your friend last night, man. I'm sorry about your friend, you know. Basically, you're gonna be all right. He's like, nah, Dad, I ain't gonna be all right. You know, there's a lot going on in these streets, and it's something you ain't telling me. It's something you're not telling me. It's something you're not telling me. So, his boy dies. The plug dies. Later on that night, after that morning, Charlie's not been home since the morning. He's out in the streets somewhere trying to clear his head. He ends up linking with Star, right? Star gets him to come to the crib. At her crib, you got Bunk, you got JT, and you got Rock at the crib, right? A couple girls there, they chilling. So Star basically wanted to get him there to basically have sex. And she was also trying to get him to drink. So she was getting him to drink. And what she does is she put a pill in the drink. And Charlie's like, he sips it. And then when he sips it, he kind of looks in the cup and he sees something fizzling in the cup. And he see that. And he's like, oh, what the fuck is that? So he's like, nah, I'm not drinking it. So KJ pulls up. It's kind of getting intentional now because KJ pulls up. And Charlie's in the bathroom, like, he hearing a lot of commotion going out there. He like, where he at? They like, he in the bathroom. Now, with Star lives, she's on the first floor basis. She's on the first floor. So her window in the bathroom leads to outside. No, it leads to like a little fire escape. It leads to outside though, fire escape or whatever. And he hears that. He like, yo, where the fuck is Charlie at? And he hear a lot of guns clicking up while he in the bathroom. He like, what the fuck? And then he hears a knock at the door. He hears Star go, Charlie, you all right in there? You coming out? He like, yeah, I'm coming out right now. He flushes the toilet and jumps the window. Because he hears a lot of shit going on out there. He jumps the window. They kick in the bathroom door. Charlie's already gone. She was going to line his ass up. Boss wanted KJ to kill his boy. But KJ was, he tried to get Jake to do it. But Jake ended up killing the other kid. Right? He ended up killing the other kid. Whatever the situation was. So he ended up killing the other kid. So now KJ had to do it now. So that night, Charlie's running home. It's late at night. He's running home. He's starting to feel a little weary because of the pill that she had in his drink. He's starting to feel it. He didn't drink too much, but it hit him kind of hard. He just caught a little tip and a little stumble a little bit, kind of like trying to shake it off. He's running home. At Charlie's house is his mom there. His mom gets a ring at the doorbell. It's late at night. She's cooking dinner. She gets a visitor. It's Tony. She's like, oh, hey, Tony, what can I do for you? She straight punches her in the face. Boop! And makes her way in the house. Makes her way in the house. tires her up, and here comes Boss. Right? Here comes Boss. He steps in. A couple of the guys are there. You know, they basically call King and tell him he got to come home. No, one of the neighbors called King and was like, yo, come home. I think somebody in your crib, and they're beating up your wife. He gets a call from one of the neighbors. So he's rushing home. Charlie's rushing home. They're both rushing home at the same time. Charlie's running home, damn near drowsy, trying to shake off whatever he was drinking. King is rushing home. He gets pulled over. The pullover was to get him killed too. The pullover was supposed to get him killed too. A little local officer was supposed to kill him. But King was smart. When he seen that the officer drew his weapon, he ended up shooting the officer first hand. Boop, boop. He killed the officer right there. Boop. Killed him. Boop. Dropped him. Right? Dropped the officer, whatever. And then get missing and rushes home. When that happens, right? When that happens, he gets home. The door's wide open. You know, he hear his wife muffling with her mouth. And then he rushes to her, like, babe, you all right? You all right? And then, you know, Boss is sitting right in his living room watching him. He turns on the light. Welcome home. He's like, yo, what the fuck is going on? You pushing yourself too far, boy. He's like, what is this? He's like, your wife, you got to kill her right now. Or we going to kill her in front of you. So what you going to do? The police are on their way already. You know what I mean? It's a lot of shit going on in one night. Tim died. The plug just died. So basically, Boss, what he wants to do is basically clear the air. He's like, yo, so since you ain't want to do it, we going to do it for you. King gets the tape off his wife's mouth. So Boss is basically, he's like, before you untie her, we going to ask some questions. So Tony backs out a gun and puts it towards King's head and tells him to back up. Back up. And she's like, you know I won't hesitate. You know I won't hesitate. So now Boss goes, King, asks her the question. And basically she's like, what's going on, babe? What's going on? Ask me what? Ask me what? So he goes, babe, are you a Fed? We had this discussion, are you a Fed? They need to know. They need to know. Because he's scared, he's nervous, he don't know what's about to happen. They need to know. Or whatever the situation is, they need to know. So she's like, babe, I told you, blah. So Boss throws the paperwork on the floor. She's like, what's that? Throws the paperwork on the floor. That's what her name and badge, her date of birth, all her information. So Boss goes, oh, if I look up that social security number that's on that paperwork, your name ain't gonna pop up? She's kind of hesitant to answer. Like, hesitant to answer. So you're not answering just lets me know your answer then, right? So she's basically low-key fondling her way out. She's fondling her way out the ropes because she's tied up with ropes. And she has duct tape on her feet. The duct tape on her feet is not going to stop her from nothing else. Now, what the wife does, she's low-key has guns in certain parts of the house, right? She has guns in certain parts of the house. And where she's sitting, she knows there's a gun there. So she gets out. And basically, she clears the air and was like, yes, that is paperwork on you guys. I am a low-key undercover Fed. She comes clean. She comes clean in front of King. Now, King gets shot because he didn't want to believe it, right? He didn't want to believe it. I was doing dirt, and I was just going to put everybody down except my husband. I didn't want to see him doing time, life behind bars. I couldn't see him go down that road. Boss basically, like, he was like, I looked at you like my sister. Like, you was going to really do me like that? And basically, she was like, no, not necessarily. Not going to put you behind bars. You was going to do a little time, but not too much. You know, if you guys all come clean. She was basically like, I didn't really want you guys. I wanted the organization. I wanted the organization. But being that I couldn't get to them without King actually going to meet them, it just so happened that way, guys. Like, I'm sorry. Like, they didn't want to hear that. You know what I mean? Like, Tony was just like, you stupid bitch. She slapped her with the gun across her face. Kim, you know, who's the federal agent / nurse, by her slapping her, King loses it and kind of like charges her and pushes her into Boss. Right? Pushes her into Boss. She drops her gun. Boss start letting off shots now. Boop, boop, boop. Kim finds a gun and start letting off shots. A shootout happens in the house. A couple of Boss's guys run in. They get shot. Boop, 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 boop. The 2 detectives rise on the scene. Remember, I have to tell you, Boss has a detective in his pocket, which is Detective Peterson. So he arrives there with his partner. His partner's the first to go in. And, right, his partner's the first to go in. And Peterson shoots him in the back of the head. Boom. Shoots him right in the back of the head. Boom. Right? Shoots him in the back of the head. King see that he gets shot. Was like, oh, shit. He dropped the gun. He grabbed it. And he's like, yo, King, I know you in here. You just shot my fucking partner. You just shot my motherfucking partner. Right? So with that being said, they lining King up. So King is basically trying to get out the crib. Right? He's basically trying to get out the crib or whatever, whatever. And he's trying to figure out how. He's basically trying to figure out how he's going to do that. His wife takes a bullet for him. Tony has King dead to right with a headshot. She ends up pushing him out the way and taking the bullet to the chest. Boom. Right? King turns around and just loses it. Like, what the fuck? Boss comes behind him and knocks him out. Boom. Knocks him out clean. Knocks him out. He calls KJ, was like, did you handle Charlie? Charlie's now arriving on the scene. But it's too late now because Charlie got away. Charlie get away. His mom dies. King is in the hospital with, he got shot in the leg. And he's in the hospital handcuffed to the bed. Charlie arrived to find out his dad is on his way to the hospital. His mom's is dead. I'm going to end that chapter right there, guys.